Ancient Rome, renowned for its grandeur and innovations, also harbored a dark underbelly of intimate practices that would send shivers down one's spine. Delving into historical accounts, we unearthed 21 chilling intimate acts that were shockingly prevalent in the ancient Roman world, revealing a society where taboos often blurred into the realm of terror. Number 1. Lupercalia, the festival of whips and blood. Lupercalia, an ancient Roman festival held every February, was a peculiar blend of fertility rites and purification rituals. At its core was the belief that whipping women with thongs made from sacrificed goat hides would promote fertility and ward off evil spirits. Men, stripped of their clothes, would joyously participate in this spectacle, running through the streets and delivering stinging blows to any woman within reach. For many, especially the women, it was a terrifying ordeal, yet it was embraced as a sacred tradition passed down through generations. The festival culminated in a feast, where the boundaries between pain and pleasure, fear and celebration, blurred in the flickering light of bonfires. Number 2. The cult of Cybele. Castration in the name of the goddess. Devotees of the goddess Cybele, known as Galli, engaged in acts of extreme devotion that often bordered on the macabre. Among these practices was self-castration, a ritualistic act intended to demonstrate absolute loyalty to the goddess of fertility. Under the influence of ecstatic rituals, Galli would undergo the painful procedure, believing that it elevated them to a divine status and conferred special favor from Cybele. This act of self-mutilation was not only a physical sacrifice but also a psychological surrender to the will of the goddess, illustrating the depths of devotion and the lengths to which individuals would go in pursuit of spiritual enlightenment. Number 3. The practice of infibulation. Binding for chastity. Infibulation, a practice of sewing or fastening the genitals closed, was a stark manifestation of the stringent sexual mores that governed Roman society. Primarily imposed on women, it was seen as a means of preserving chastity and ensuring fidelity within marriage. However, the procedure often resulted in excruciating pain and lifelong physical complications, serving as a grim reminder of the sacrifices demanded by societal expectations. While ostensibly aimed at upholding virtue and honor, infibulation ultimately inflicted profound suffering on those subjected to its cruel dictates. Number 4. Vomitoriums. Purging for more feasting. Contrary to popular misconception, vomitoriums were not chambers for indulging in gluttony followed by purging. Instead, they were passageways designed to facilitate the swift exit of crowds from amphitheaters and other public venues. However, the association of vomitoriums with excessive feasting and subsequent purging persists in the popular imagination, adding to the allure of Roman excess and decadence. The reality of ancient Roman dining customs was undoubtedly lavish, with extravagant banquets and culinary delights aplenty. But the idea of purpose-built rooms for post-feast purging remains a myth perpetuated by centuries of misunderstanding. Number 5. Bacchanalian orgies. Revelry and debauchery. The Bacchanalia, dedicated to the god Bacchus, were infamous for their uninhibited revelry and licentious behavior. Participants, caught in the throes of ecstasy induced by wine and music, engaged in orgiastic rituals that blurred the boundaries between divine ecstasy and base desire. These secretive gatherings, shrouded in mystery and myth, became synonymous with debauchery and excess, serving as a tantalizing yet terrifying glimpse into the darker recesses of the human psyche. For the devout followers of Bacchus, the Bacchanalia offered a rare opportunity to transcend the constraints of society and experience a fleeting taste of divine ecstasy. Number 6. Exposure of infants. A grim solution. In ancient Rome, the exposure of unwanted or deformed infants was a grim practice sanctioned by law and custom. Abandoned in remote places or left to perish from exposure to the elements, these innocent victims of societal indifference bore silent witness to the harsh realities of life in the ancient world. While ostensibly motivated by concerns of practicality or familial honor, the practice of infant exposure laid bare the callous disregard for human life that often characterized Roman society. It stands as a sobering reminder of the vulnerability of the powerless in the face of prevailing social norms and the arbitrary whims of those in power. Number 7. Sexual slavery. Captives in chains. The institution of slavery cast a dark shadow over ancient Rome, with countless individuals condemned to a life of servitude and exploitation. Among the most vulnerable were women and children, who often found themselves subjected to the horrors of sexual slavery. Captured in warfare or born into bondage, these unfortunate souls were treated as commodities to be bought, sold, and traded at the whim of their owners. Their bodies, stripped of autonomy and dignity, became vessels for the fulfillment of their masters' darkest desires, their cries for freedom drowned out by the clamor of a society built on the backs of the oppressed. 8. Fetishization of dwarfism. Objects of amusement. Dwarfs occupied a peculiar position in ancient Roman society, simultaneously objects of curiosity and amusement. Kept as entertainers or court jesters, they were often subjected to ridicule and exploitation, their physical differences exploited for the amusement of the elite. Yet beneath the veneer of laughter lay a darker truth: the objectification and dehumanization of marginalized individuals for the pleasure of the privileged few. While ostensibly treated with a degree of indulgence, dwarfs were ultimately denied agency and autonomy, their identities reduced to mere spectacles for the amusement of their patrons. Number 9. Divine bestiality. Worship through perversion. In certain cults dedicated to fertility gods such as Pan, acts of bestiality were believed to hold ritual significance. Devotees, caught in the throes of ecstatic worship, would engage in sexual acts with animals as a means of invoking divine favor and ensuring bountiful harvests. While such practices may seem incomprehensible to modern sensibilities, they underscore the lengths to which individuals would go in pursuit of spiritual fulfillment and earthly prosperity. Yet amidst the fervor of religious ecstasy, the line between piety and perversion became dangerously blurred, leaving behind a legacy of taboo and transgression. Number 10. The curse of the evil eye. Protection through perverse means. In ancient Rome, the belief in the malevolent power of the evil eye held sway over the collective imagination. To ward off its sinister influence, individuals turned to a variety of talismans and rituals, including wearing phallic amulets or performing sexually suggestive gestures. These acts, born out of fear and superstition, served as a form of protection against unseen forces lurking in the shadows. Yet in their attempts to shield themselves from harm, the Romans unwittingly embraced practices that bordered on the perverse, blurring the lines between protection and provocation in their quest for security. Number 11. Erotic magic, spells and charms. The practice of erotic magic, known as pharmakia, was a ubiquitous yet secretive aspect of ancient Roman society. Practitioners ranging from amateur sorcerers to skilled magicians claimed the ability to manipulate love and desire through spells and charms. From potions brewed under the light of the full moon to incantations whispered in the dead of night, the pursuit of erotic enchantment knew no bounds. While skeptics dismissed such practices as mere superstition, others swore by their efficacy, attributing their successes and failures in matters of the heart to the whims of unseen forces. In a society where desire and power were inextricably linked, the allure of erotic magic held sway over hearts and minds alike. Number 12. Necrophilia. A disturbing fascination. In the shadowy corners of ancient Rome, tales of necrophilia whispered in hushed tones served as a grim reminder of the depths of human depravity. Though rare, instances of sexual acts with the dead were occasionally reported, shrouded in secrecy and shame. Whether born out of morbid curiosity or perverse desire, such acts defied societal taboos and outraged the sensibilities of the living. Yet amidst the horror and revulsion, the allure of the forbidden lingered, casting a pall over the city's collective consciousness and leaving behind a legacy of dark fascination and fear. Number 13. Sexualized death rituals. Intimacy beyond the grave. In the funerary customs of ancient Rome, death and desire often intersected in unexpected ways. From eroticized depictions of the deceased to rituals that bordered on the obscene, the Romans approached death with a mixture of reverence and fascination. funeral processions became spectacles of mourning and celebration, where grief and desire mingled in the flickering light of funeral pyres. Yet beneath the veneer of solemnity lay a darker truth, the allure of the forbidden and the taboo, drawing the living ever closer to the realm of the dead. In the intimate embrace of mortality, the boundaries between life and death blurred, revealing a world where desire transcended the limits of flesh and blood. Number 14. Lascivious artifacts. Objects of desire. In the private chambers of ancient Rome, erotic art and artifacts adorned the walls, serving as both titillating decorations and talismans for fertility and protection. From phallic amulets to explicit frescoes, these objects offered glimpses into the Romans' attitudes toward sexuality and intimacy. Yet beneath their surface allure lay a deeper truth, the power of desire to transcend time and space, shaping the course of human history in ways both profound and unsettling. In the intimate interplay of art and desire, the Romans sought to capture the elusive essence of pleasure, weaving a tapestry of eroticism that endures to this day. Number 15. The art of seduction. Manipulating desires. Seduction was considered an art form in ancient Rome, with manuals and treatises dedicated to the pursuit of pleasure and conquest. From whispered words of flattery to subtle gestures of affection, the art of seduction knew no bounds, captivating hearts and minds alike. Yet beneath its surface allure lay a darker truth, the manipulation of desires for personal gain and gratification. In the intricate dance of seduction, power dynamics shifted and desires collided, leaving behind a trail of broken hearts and shattered illusions. Yet amidst the wreckage of broken promises and shattered dreams, the allure of seduction endured, casting its spell over the hearts and minds of the unsuspecting. Number 16. Public bathhouses, sites of scandal. Roman bathhouses were not just places for hygiene, but also hubs of social interaction and, at times, scandal. Tales of illicit encounters, voyeurism, and promiscuity abounded, painting a picture of a society where boundaries between public and private were often blurred. In the steamy confines of the baths, passions ran high and inhibitions were cast aside, giving rise to a world of secret desires and forbidden pleasures. Yet amidst the hedonistic revelry, the specter of scandal loomed large, threatening to expose the hidden truths lurking beneath the surface of Roman society. In the intimate interplay of bodies and desires, the bathhouses became theaters of passion and intrigue, where the boundaries between sin and salvation blurred in the flickering light of oil lamps. Number 17. Orgies of excess. Hedonism unleashed. The concept of the orgy, characterized by unrestrained indulgence in sensual pleasures, was not foreign to ancient Romans. While such gatherings were not commonplace, they did occur among the elite classes, showcasing the extremes of Roman decadence. In the opulent confines of palatial estates, guests indulged their every whim, reveling in a world of excess and extravagance. Yet beneath the veneer of luxury lay a darker truth, the insatiable hunger for pleasure and power that drove the elite to ever greater heights of debauchery. In the orgiastic frenzy of the feast, desires collided and inhibitions fell away, leaving behind a trail of shattered taboos and broken vows. Number 18. Erotic dance. Seduction in motion. Dance was an integral part of Roman culture, with performances ranging from the refined to the scandalous. Erotic dance forms, such as the infamous belly dance, were often associated with sensuality and seduction, captivating audiences with their suggestive movements. In the flickering light of torches and oil lamps, dancers wove a spell of enchantment, their movements evoking primal desires and forbidden fantasies. Yet beneath the surface allure lay a deeper truth, the power of dance to transcend the boundaries of language and culture, uniting hearts and minds in a shared experience of ecstasy and desire. In the intimate interplay of rhythm and movement, dancers became conduits for the expression of passion and longing, their bodies speaking a language of desire that transcended words. Number 19. Sexual perversion in literature. Tales of taboo. Roman literature, including poetry and prose, often explored themes of sexual desire and perversion. Works such as Ovid's Ars Amatoria and Petronius' Satyricon offered glimpses into the erotic imagination of the ancient Romans, revealing a world where boundaries were constantly tested and transgressed. In the pages of these forbidden texts, readers encountered a menagerie of characters and scenarios, each more scandalous than the last. Yet beneath the surface titillation lay a deeper truth. The power of literature to challenge and subvert societal norms, exposing the hidden desires and forbidden fantasies that lurked beneath the surface of Roman society. In the intimate interplay of words and desires, writers became architects of the imagination, constructing worlds where passion and taboo reigned supreme. Number 20. Public executions. Spectacles of horror. Public executions, whether by crucifixion, gladiatorial combat, or other means, were common in ancient Rome. While not explicitly intimate, these spectacles served as reminders of the brutality and violence that underpinned Roman society, instilling fear and awe in the hearts of onlookers. In the blood-soaked arenas and crowded streets, the condemned met their fate with stoic resignation, their bodies becoming macabre symbols of the power of the state. Yet beneath the veneer of authority lay a darker truth. The spectacle of suffering and death that served as entertainment for the masses. In the intimate interplay of life and death, executioners became arbiters of fate, their actions shaping the course of history and leaving behind a legacy of horror and despair. Number 21. Sexualized violence. The dark side of desire. Acts of sexual violence, including rape and assault, were regrettably prevalent in ancient Rome, particularly against marginalized groups such as slaves and women. These acts, fueled by power dynamics and unchecked desires, cast a shadow over the otherwise glamorous facade of Roman civilization. In the dark alleys and secluded chambers of the city, predators stalked their prey with impunity, their actions shrouded in secrecy and shame. Yet beneath the surface veneer of civilization lay a darker truth. The perversion of desire and the exploitation of the vulnerable for the gratification of the powerful. In the intimate interplay of lust and violence, perpetrators became architects of suffering, their actions leaving behind a trail of broken bodies and shattered lives. And that's it from this video. See you in the next one.